He's looking at us. It's a lot of action today.
I'm going to do prints on one side and frames on the other. Which side do you think I should put what? I think prints and then frames. Get used to the dust and stuff.
Oh gosh. I've just realised that your little cardigan matches the pattern on the little tiger cat.
It does. I didn't realise that actually. On the plans, but I like it. It's actually good that it's nearly Halloween.
Yeah.
So the witchy ones are quite. Make it out like stacks of them. Because it's not windy. There's windy now. Brought spare tape and everything. That's how prepared I am.
I was thinking about like maybe some stuff in the last hour.
That's cute, I like that. Hi. You'll have to excuse the lighting. It is very, very rainy and gloomy outside today. I feel like it's nearly the end of October, but we're finally getting into that autumnal kind of cozy weather, which I love, but it's not great for lighting. And for some reason my ring light is, every time I turn it on it's like flickering. I can't tell if it's the plug that I'm using. I don't know. I wanted to share some books that I've got recently. I do a little book haul. I had a pre-order from ages ago, finally arrive, and then I also bought a couple books because I had a voucher, so I've ended up with quite a few new books recently. First one I got is Shakespeare's Sonnets. It's a collection of Shakespeare's sonnets, it's all of his sonnets, and it's the Penguin Classic Edition. It's just really simple, has a sonnet a page, and I've been really getting into the classics. Recently, in the past couple of years, I've been going through like the classics that interest me and reading them. And poetry is something that I'm trying to get into. I read poetry in like secondary school, as most people did, and I really enjoyed the poetry that we read at the time, but I kind of abandoned it since. But it's actually as I'm like doing my commonplace practicing now, I'm coming along a lot of quotes that I like from poetry, so I want to read more poetry. And Shakespeare's Sonnets is a pretty good place to start. My only thing about this book is this is the second time I bought it. It's the first time the printing wasn't quite great. It's not an expensive book. It was like £6 or something for the paperback. And the printing is fairly simple, but it feels like there's an imperfection every single time I buy it. So if you do get it, just keep an eye out for that. I'm not extremely mad about it though, because it's not really, the mistakes aren't with the internal printing, it's like the external stuff, which annoying but isn't the most important. Yeah, I've read a few of his sonnets before, but I'm excited to slowly go through these. Speaking of poetry, I've been getting more stuff from the library recently, and I think I actually read this last summer, and it's Sylvia Plath's Ariel, which is the collection of poetry. I think it was published after her death, but this was the poetry that she wrote leading up to her death. I really, really enjoyed this. I actually borrowed this exact copy from the library last year, and I really enjoyed it. So when I went to, that is not the spine breaking, it's just this bit, I'm sorry. So when I went to buy it, I was like, I want this version, because it's really, really nice. So I think I had to pre-order it. And I'm really enjoying Sylvia Plath. I want to read her journals, the unabridged version of her journals, because I read The Bell Jar as well last year, and then I read these. I'd like to read more of her work and her journals, so. Also got, this is a big one, The Sprite and the Gardener, which is a comic from I'm sorry if I say their names wrong. Ree Abrigo is the artist, and then Joe Witt, I believe, is the writer. I've been looking out for this for so long. This was the one that I pre-ordered, because it's not in stock. I pre-ordered it, I want to say March, and it's now October, and it finally came through this month. And the art is just gorgeous. I believe that she made a mini comic around this concept years and years ago, which I saw and I loved. The art style is just gorgeous, and the colours are so nice. It's just like the kind of thing that I wish I made, you know? It's lovely. I haven't sat and read it cover to cover yet, but I've flicked through, and it's just gorgeous. The art is beautiful. So I'm excited to sit and read this properly. Lastly, I did get The Artist's Way. I think I got it during the summer, because it came highly recommended. I mean, everyone's reading it at the minute. And I started reading it, and I started going through it, For those of you who don't know, the Artist's Way is a 12-week course, essentially, in relearning how to be creative, essentially, and your relationship with your creative self. And I started doing it, and I started doing the course with week 1, week 2, and I realised that it's quite intensive. It does require you to do a lot of tasks, and obviously the reading itself, which is great. I think it should be like that. I just did not have the mental capacity to do it at the time, so I stopped. So I'm saving that for, I think probably the new year will be a good time for me to do it. Right now I'm like, it's getting towards the end of the year, I'm like tying up loose ends, trying to get things done. It's not really the best time for it, but I am really, really excited for actually doing it properly. I think you will have seen 2 weekends ago now, I did Bedford Market, which was amazing. Really, really enjoyed it. I think it was my most successful market that I've done so far. I'm definitely going to be applying to go back and show my work again there in the new year, I think, because I really enjoyed it. The other artists were really lovely and it seemed like a really good crowd of people. I need to write my newsletter, because I've been just thinking about like starting a blog or finding a place that's blog-like, that I can write about my work and my inspirations and what I'm enjoying lately and what content I'm consuming and finding inspiration from. And I've been thinking a lot about where I can do that. I thought about Tumblr, I thought about adding a blog section to my website, and I looked at a lot of different things, but eventually I decided it is a newsletter. I want it to be like on a mailing list so that it's delivered to people, they don't have to go look for it. So I decided that I'm going to use Substack. For those of you who don't know, Substack is essentially, it's like a blogging, writing site. You don't have to have a Substack account to read the writing that's on there. You can, if you're interested in someone's Substack, you can just put in your email and then receive it like a newsletter, which is the way I'm going to do it. There's also paid options, so you can put some of your writing behind a paywall if you want people to contribute to your work. I've seen a lot of people using Substack. I really like reading people's work on there, so I'm going to be using Substack from now on, and I'll put a little link in the thing, in the doobly-doo, if anyone actually wants to give it a look. But yeah, again, it's kind of more for me, and so I can have like a place to dump out my thoughts in a kind of semi-organised manner, but I'm really excited about it. And I can link to whatever video I made. I think I'm going to do it twice a month, so every 2 weeks. I feel like that's a good frequency. Every week feels too much for me, and once a month feels like there'll be too much to cover. So every 2 weeks is a good amount. Okay. Let's get to work.
Bye.